Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for our webinar today. My name is Damien Robbins. I'm an account manager for AMS Limited. Today we'll be talking about the LazyNet suite of document automation solutions. In particular, we'll be focusing on their output management software. AMS as a company has been providing document automation solutions for over 20 years. And we have our own in-house engineering team who can provide companies with the technical resource that they need so that we can sit down, work with the customer, review their processes and see where we might be able to help them. You'll notice on the right hand side there should be a chat box. If you have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to enter in your questions in the chat box, and at the end we'll go through them. The agenda for today is we will explain the process. So we'll go through the document creation, distributed printing and automatic electronic delivery. We'll also be talking about the problems that businesses face with manual processes. We'll then go through the design process and what the software is like to use. And we'll discuss some integration examples, including some of the mainstream applications such as SAP and Ethical Tropos. We'll also talk about a proof of delivery process that we have created for one of our customers. So what is output management? Well, this is the concept. Autoform LazyNet will provide a central way to receive output from back-end applications. It can also retrieve data from other documents and databases, and we can automatically manipulate that information into a human readable format, so a nicely formatted document, and deliver that to network printers. We can also create barcode labels so that they can be sent to barcode printers. We can automatically deliver via email and fax. And at the point of creation, we can also create an archive of the document for future reference. The business problem for most companies is the time involved in these manual processes. So users are often using applications such as Word or Excel, creating a document like a purchase order or an invoice. They then have to print that document, fold it, put it in an envelope, and send it to the post room where it's stamped and sent off to the post office. Now, not only is that a very labour-intensive process, but there's also a cost involved in the postage and the printing. Incoming processes can be very labour-intensive as well, with documents in the post room being passed through to accounts, who then enter orders onto a system. There may also be an authorization or workflow process, and you might have to update a back-end database or AP system for purchase invoices. So how much are companies spending on this manual process? How much they spend on printing and postage? And do you think there would be a return on investment if your customers would receive that as an electronic document, such as a PDF file via email, or maybe a data file such as XML or EDI? Are you currently looking to upgrade the ERP or CRM systems? And what's the impact on that? Will you need to make changes to the documents that are created? How do your customer services users answer document queries? Do they have to go through filing cabinets, retrieve a purchase or an invoice in order to answer simple questions while they're on the telephone? So here's the solution. LazyNet provides a very simple output management utility that allows organizations to perform their own in-house design and control They can improve the presentation of their content with brand graphics. You can customize and personalize the information. You may have terms and conditions that you want to add to outbound documents. And we can work with several languages. We can also eliminate the cost of postage fees by automatically delivering the document via email. And we can work with existing systems such as fax and SMS solutions. If your customers or suppliers are able to work with data, we can also send that information via an XML or EDI document. Users will be able to access documents through a web browser from any computer when we archive the document at creation and provide a central repository for future reference. LaserNet can accept pretty much any output format, so there's no real need to make big changes to the back-end systems. We can adapt our software to use what you're producing in order to create the nicely formatted documents that you're looking to send to your customers. Here's an example of a very basic output that would often be sent to a standard network printer. You can see it doesn't really provide much perception of the company. There's no brand graphics, and it's very basic. This is an example of a data file. This one's in XML format, but you could have CSV or plain text files. But the key thing here is we can take the data structure that you're currently producing. Here we have an example of the user interface used to map the back-end data into your nicely formatted output document. It's very easy to use with the split screen, and you can see on the right-hand side the document that will be sent out to your customers so that you can see what kind of document is going to be produced. Got a little video clip here so you can see what it's like to actually use the software. So here's the split screen client that we just used. If you click the rearrange button, we can select a field in the output file on the left-hand side. So in this case, we're selecting the company to which we're sending the document to. It's really easy just to drag and drop that information over onto the right-hand side, onto the nicely formatted template. Just underneath, we have several line items. So this is kind of a typical format for a purchase order or an invoice, with part numbers, line items, a cost per item, and a total. So here we can automatically recognize that pattern and drag and drop that over to the invoice and map the part numbers to the line items and the values. We can cope with repeating line items, so it doesn't matter whether there's 1 or 100 on there. We can work out whether to put those on the first page or the second page or the third page. So this is the XML option, where if we highlight the data lines on the left-hand side, you can see the corresponding highlighted fields on the right. So hopefully you can see that the design of the forms, it's very simple to use. Using the split screen and the drag and drop is very intuitive. You can use any application you like to create the template that appears on the right-hand side. So if you're familiar with Word, we can use Word or PDF or whatever's easiest for you. We provide full support for barcodes, and you can also perform advanced calculations. So if you have line items with values associated to them, we can calculate the carried forward totals and maybe a total at the end. We can also add other enhancements to those documents. So say if you're invoicing a customer, maybe it would be helpful to provide a picture of the product or service that you're providing. We can also use the data to create other graphics, such as pie charts or graphs. You can add digital signatures, like you would in a PDF file. And if you're creating something like a dispatch note or a proof of delivery note, maybe you'd like to add a barcode or a QED code or some kind of label, so that when it's gone through the process and it's scanned back in, we can match that to the original purchase order. If you have any marketing messages, maybe this is a good way to get your message across to your customers and suppliers without any expense. You may have a new product or service that you're providing, or maybe there's some company news that you'd like to update your customers with. So here are a few integration examples. Some of our customers use applications such as Epic or Tropos or SAP. There's also native integration for Infor, but this is a pretty typical process for most of our customers. So in this situation, the customer was printing dispatch notes and invoices. So what we did was mimic the same process to keep it the same. So we installed the LaserNet print driver. When the application printed to the print driver, we retrieved the spool file. And the spool file has all the data in it, so we can manipulate that data, move it around, and create the required output format. We can also use information in that document in order to perform a certain set of actions based on some rules, so we can intelligently deliver that document to each recipient via their preferred method. So if there's an email address in there or a fax number, well, maybe we can automatically send that via email or fax. Or if there's a preference in the database, we can send that to the post room for printing and sending to the customer. Now, applications such as Epicor and SAP, they already have these features included with the software. So there's probably a question as to why someone or a customer would buy a third-party solution. Well, often it's very cumbersome and quite expensive to make changes on these larger ERP or CRM systems. What LaserNet provides is a much easier and more cost-effective way of making these changes rather than using the inbuilt tools. So this is an example of an end-to-end process that we provided for one of our customers who are kind of a large wholesale distributor and logistics company. So what they were currently doing was they were creating a document using their progress database. They were then printing these documents and then putting them into an out tray ready for drivers to collect. They would then bring the document back in, signed by the customer once they performed their service, and that would be sent to accounts for manual processing, updating the back-end systems and what have you. What we did is we created an automated process. So we could capture the job details and the customer details and automatically print and deliver that document to the driver. We also appended a barcode once we printed that document to make the inbound process simpler. So when the driver had delivered their goods and services and brought the proof of delivery documents back into the depot at the end of the day, they would all be scanned in as a batch. The LaserNet software would recognize the barcode, match it up to the original request, send it to the back-end database system to show that that job had been completed, and also use those keys to create an archive of that document. We would update the database to say that the job had been done and then create an invoice. And the invoice would automatically be delivered to the customer via their preferred method, email or fax, with the signed proof of delivery attached. So what we've done is we've pretty much eliminated all of the manual part of this process. So we're saving time and money for the company. We're also reducing the potential for human error in the process, and by creating an archive confirming when the job had been completed, it's also helping their customer services team answer queries from customers over the phone. A very common situation for customers is to have a wide variety of services and applications. They might have something very up-to-date as their CRM or ERP system, but the likelihood is there'll be other applications and legacy systems with important information that they need to use. The LaserNet software can be used like a universal connector, so we can capture information from all of these different systems, manipulate that data, and put it into a format that your suppliers, customers, and consumers want. We can also do it in a reverse way, so if your suppliers and customers are sending you documents that aren't necessarily compatible with your systems, we can capture that information, reformat it, and deliver it back into the applications, into the structure that your systems are looking to use. So if you're looking to review what you're doing, the biggest question would be, how do you currently create your invoices, purchase orders, delivery notes, or business critical documents? What is the process that users have to send out these documents to the customer, and then how are they received back in? If you're using pre-printed stationery, this is a cost that we could eliminate by using our overlays and our templates. And are there other benefits that we could help with? Would adding marketing messages to these documents be a free and easy way to generate new business? So in summary, a big driver for several of our projects has been the cost and complexity of making changes to existing applications. We can provide an easy and fast way to reformat and remap data to create those documents. We can work with existing output data, so you don't have to make any changes to these back-end applications, which can often be expensive or complicated. And we can remove the manual process by intelligently and automatically delivering these documents via email, fax, data files such as XML and EDI, or to a network printer. And we can automatically index these documents at the point of creation so that users can access them via a web browser for easy retrieval or referral later. Here's a list of some of our customers that we provide these services to. As you can see, we cover a wide range of industries. In particular, they seem to be quite pertinent to healthcare, financial, housing and logistics, but the list is not exhaustive. We focus today on the output management features of LaserNet, but there is also a lot more that software can do. If you have any questions or you want to investigate another process that you may not have seen today, please feel free to contact your account manager. Thank you very much for your time today. I'm just going to check with Rich to see if there have been any questions while we've been doing the presentation.
Thanks, Damien. Yeah, we've had a few questions come through. While I'm answering them, if you do have any questions, just a reminder, just use the question section when they go to webinar control panel. But the first question we've got through was, how do you add the graphics to your output? So this is really, really easy, and it's quite a powerful thing within LaserNet, is that when you install the application, a print driver gets created called the LaserNet print overlay, and that means you can design your template and add all your graphics in any application you feel comfortable in designing with. So whether it's Publisher, Adobe Reader, Editor, Microsoft Word, whatever it might be, all you have to do is open up your template or design it and then print to this LaserNet print overlay capture, and it's there in your LaserNet developer to use as you wish. Another question we've got is, can you pull information from Oracle? Again, yeah, that's not a problem. LaserNet has a database module which we can use to retrieve information from pretty much any database or back-end application. And what's nice within LaserNet is that we can use some of the fields or information that's in your original input file and use that data to do a lookup. So, for example, if you had an account name or account number, but you wanted to send that document to a specific email address, then you could use some of that information to maybe do a lookup on your CRM system to pull down the email address to later forward it onto that customer's email account. Likewise, for example, if you was creating an invoice, and you provided the invoice number, but perhaps not the invoice line item details, then we could take that invoice number, do a lookup to your back-end application or database to retrieve all those line item details and populate them on the output. So it's a pretty powerful feature, and it also allows you to update the database or the same sort of back-end applications as well. So you can update a record to say that an invoice has been generated or delivered and things like that. Another question we've got here is, can you print in duplex? Yeah, absolutely. So if one of your output types was to send to a network printer, for example, then you have complete control of all of those printer properties within LaserNet. So you can choose whether your document prints in duplex, but you can also select the number of copies, what tray it prints out, the orientation of the print, and everything like that. And then the last question I've got here is, how do you index the archived documents? That's another good question. So when we store a document in our sort of cold archiving solution that Damien talked about in his presentation, we can store that document against a number of different indexes. So that can be the information that's in the input file, or again, it can be information that we've pulled from some third-party source. And obviously, the more indexes that you store against the document, the more flexible you can create the queries or searches that either end customers or your internal staff will use to pull back that information at a later date. I think that's all the questions, Damien, so I'll hand back to you.
Thank you very much, Richard. That was really useful. Thank you again for everyone's time. Hopefully we'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much. Goodbye.